This conference will now be recorded.
Hey guys, good morning. Anyone having any questions from the previous sessions? Anyone needs a screen share? Okay. If all good, please remember that tomorrow we have a mock interview. So please prepare on all the so far completed topics, excluding data transforms. Okay, because that is something new. I don't want to ask anything on that. So please prepare. Haripur, you have something?
Yes, Nikhila. Actually, there is an age calculation we are. I'm
Right, right.
unable to.
So I will teach you that. So most probably tomorrow or in the next session, I'll teach you declare expressions topic. So in that, I will cover the age calculation.
And also, there is something date months calculations through the report definition. You asked one. You asked or you gave one assignment for us.
Okay, please share me that assignment once in the chat.
Okay.
Anybody else? Anything else, guys? Anyone
Uh,
needs a screen share? Any queries?
Nikhila, I think in one of the initial topics, I was asking you I asked you how to add multiple users. You said some concept is there actually that later on will teach us
Multiple.
users actually.
Uh,
Users. I don't know the exact word what you said, but you said there is later on I'll explain
you
you.
Asking
mean
about like creating or
file
onboarding
listener?
and
Yeah, file listeners.
File
Because
listener, right? Yeah, we are yet to cover that. So tomorrow I'm planning for file listeners. So most probably tomorrow you will get to know that, Nagraj. So pressed file listeners, email integrations are very important. Today we are planning to do so. Tomorrow file listeners.
okay. Thank you, Nikhila.
Yeah, no problem, Nagraj. Yes, Mahesh, you have something?
no ma'am, like adding to his
Okay,
point that onboarding the users basically.
okay, okay.
If you know one big question,
Yeah, Suresh, please.
in general environment, right? In general software development life cycle, when you move the
Mm,
code to next environment like UAT or
mhm,
something, not allowed to do a
mhm,
code change as per the change control, right? When if you have any code change, you check out the source back to lower environments, development, do the change
mm.
and come. Is it the
Right,
same?
exactly
Like,
the same. So once the code is moved from dev to QA, okay, if there is any defect or you missed something, you're supposed to again create a new version in that rule set, save as the rule, make your code changes, check in the rule, lock the rule set version, deploy the code. Okay, so as many times you want to make changes after deployment, that many new versions have to create. If you haven't deployed the code, you can unlock the rule set and make your changes. But once deployed, always you have to come from dev only. You are not supposed to unlock or do any changes in QA or UAT. Then the code
but
will not be in sync, right? So you should never do that.
but do we have access? I mean, generally in a real production environment, do we have access? We are not
It,
supposed
it
to, or we don't even.
Ideally they remove the access, but it depends on the project and the company you're working. Okay. In some projects, dev team has even never saw how production looks like. We don't even have access to user portals also. Whereas in some projects, we were a part of the production. We were even able to change anything, unlock, lock. It depends on the project you're working, how secure it is. If it's a banking project, with a huge user base, forget about looking at production. You will not even have any kind of access. If it's any, not so much secured project, you will have accesses.
So we have access, at least I got access to stage, which is nothing but a QA environment or UAT
Mhm.
environment. But
Okay.
I'm not sure, can I do code changes there? I know as per
No,
certain.
generally they will remove, even in the developer access, there'll be some settings to remove no, you will not have access to unlock the rule sets, check out and check it. All those will be disabled.
Okay.
Even if they grant you access, you are not supposed to do.
Got it. So it's safe for me to, because I got access, I want to just explore the application. I can always,
Do it in LLEs only. Don't touch that because when somebody is testing, if you're breaking anything, it might come on you. So never do that.
no, for looking the code, how it's been written and
Of course, oh, you can look at the code in any environment. Read-only access is perfectly fine in any environment. Just that do not do any checkouts and check-ins and editings and all that in the higher environments.
I mean, not now, I don't want to disturb the schedule, but later if you could help me to see what level of access I have, is it read only or write only? It should
No,
be
you
on,
can just see, you just log in, open any single rule, and see is checkout and check-in enabled for you. If it is enabled, you have editable access. If it's not enabled, then you have read-only access.
okay, go to rules and try to check out and see if I have access.
Open any rule, open any property, open an activity. Just try.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Nikhil.
But anyways, in higher environments, it's a logged rule set version, right? So you can't do checkouts. Only private edit will be available.
Yes, got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Any other questions on the so far completed topics? Okay. So once again, a reminder, guys, tomorrow we are planning to have a quick mock interview. Except data transforms, the rest of the topics, please try to brush up because data transform is something new we have covered. So I don't want to take up that. So other topics, just try to have a quick brush up. Okay. Now let me share my screen. Today I'm planning to cover SOAP integration. Very important from the interview point of view. Extremely important. You will never ever have an interview without discussions on integrations. Okay, so please focus on this. See, you can see we have worked most of the things only on the collect info stage. How about enrichment, provisional credit, chargeback, and all these things? Okay, so enrichment, I'm going to teach you REST integration. It is used to get information from Visa and MasterCard, like MTran ID, VTran ID, we have few things. Okay, so we're going to do REST here. Provisional credit means giving a fund to the customer to maintain the goodwill. Okay, so here I'm going to use the SOAP service which I'm teaching you now. Chargeback means merchant giving the money back to us or the vendor giving the money back to us. So here also the same SOAP service you will use. Write off means you giving funds to the customer permanently because now the merchant has refunded you, you have to refund the customer. So same SOAP service you will hear. Customer liable means you identify that the customer is a fraud. Okay, and whatever money you give him here temporarily, you're going to take it back. So same service which I'm teaching you, you're going to use it here. Okay, second chargeback also the same thing. Repri is nothing but submitting some documents and proofs. So here we are going to attach some documents, videos, images here. Okay, so now most of the stages you are going to use this SOAP integration. However, on the screens, you will have some different options. Like when you say provisional credit, you will have some option. Do you want to give the full refund or partial refund? When you say chargeback, we have different types of chargeback codes for Visa and MasterCard. Okay, depending upon the code and the reason, they may identify, whether to give write off or customer liable. We have some business logic. All that, it's too much into real time, which we can't cover right now, but at a high level, we will see what are the chargeback codes, MasterCard chargeback codes. Based on the codes, how we decide whether it should be write off or customer liable. All that we'll see. Representment just uploading the proofs to prove that you are correct. Okay. So what I'm trying to tell you is today's SOAP integration, which you are going to learn, is going to be used in most of your stages. Okay. Let's start about integration. See, first of all, integration means it's all about exchanging information between different applications. Okay. Now take an example. Suppose I'm trying to book a flight from GoIbibo website. What will GoIbibo do? It will connect to different airways like SpiceJet, Indigo, Air India, etc. And it will get all the relevant flights details for that particular date of journey. Right? GoIbibo is not storing all this data. GoIBIBO doesn't have all the data. So who is giving all the data? Different airways are giving this data. Okay. So what is GoIBIBO doing when you hit on the source, destination, and date of journey? It is triggering a service. Okay, it is triggering a service. That service will connect it to SpiceJet and Indigo, and they will give the response like what is the flight number, what is the flight name, what are the timings, what are the charges, how many seats are available, XYZ details they will provide GoIBIBO, and GoIBIBO will display it on the screen. So that is integration, means two or more applications exchanging information to process the work object. Similarly, take the example of Google Pay, Phone Pay, UPI apps which you're using in your day-to-day life. Okay, what will you do here? We will again connect with, when you say Google Pay and you scan a code and you give the money you want to deduct, what will happen? They will connect with Citibank, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, whatever is your bank. They will connect with them using some service. They will give some input and they will get some output. The input is from account number to account number and how much money to be deducted. Output is transaction ID. So Google Pay and Phone Pay are doing integration with your various banks to make the fund transfer. Okay. So like this, different tools and different applications will talk to each other. They may or may not be on the same tool or technology. Okay, so Google Pay may be a .NET application, Citibank may be a Pega application, Phone Pay may be a Java application, HDFC may be a some other dev application. So it's not necessary that two or more tools, okay, when they want to exchange information, they need to be on the same tool or technology. Then how are they exchanging information? Someone is on .NET, someone is on SAP, someone is on Java. Then how are they? Someone is on a full stack. How are they exchanging information then? Simple. There is a worldwide accepted language called as XML. Okay. So XML is something every tool or technology has to support. Okay. So when multiple applications are exchanging information, the only common language they use is XML. Like how we are talking, somebody maybe speaks, Punjabi, somebody speaks Telugu, somebody speaks Hindi, but we are speaking a common language, English, and we are exchanging information, right? The same way, when multiple technologies, you know, they want to exchange information, they use a common language like XML, and some places we also use JSON. Okay, so this is how they exchange information, and this is called as integration. Integration means multiple applications exchange information. So someone will send a request, the other party will send a response. And here, both the applications may or may not be on the same tool or technology. Even if they are on same tool or technology, still we have to use XML or JSON only to exchange information. Any questions so far? Okay. Moving ahead. So let's say I have Google Pay and I have Citibank. Now they are trying to exchange information for a fund transfer. Okay. Now Google Pay has to send a request message. The request message is going to continue from account number to account number and the money to be deducted. And Citibank will give them in response the transaction ID. Now, how are you going to send these messages? We need some messaging protocols. Okay, we need some messaging protocols. They carry messages in a secured way. So those protocols we have are SOAP, REST, JMS, MQ, like this. We have a lot of things. Okay, most frequently used in real time, SOAP and REST. So if you use SOAP and REST, most of the projects we use only these things. SOAP and REST. So today I'm going to cover SOAP integration. The full form of SOAP is Simple Object Access Protocol. It's a protocol. Okay. It in turn uses HTTP protocol to send and receive messages. Okay. And remember, SOAP always sends and receives messages in the form of XML only. In SOAP, you cannot use JSON. Only in the form of XML we can send and receive messages. Okay. Now, before we directly jump into the SOAP integration, you need to learn some terms. In real time, when they ask you, what are your downstream systems? They may ask you, what is the upstream system? See, upstream system means the application which is giving you the response. Downstream system means application which is requesting the info. So in the case of Google Pay and Citibank, Google Pay is sending a request. Citibank is giving the response. So those who send request, they are downstream systems. Those who give the response are upstream systems. Okay. So downstream means you are requesting the info. Upstream means you're getting the response. And downstream systems are also called as consumers. Upstream systems are called as service providers. So I am providing the service. Now, is Citibank providing the service only to Google Pay? No. After some time, phone pay may reach them and say, hey Citibank, we will send you the request. Can you please give us the transaction ID in response? Citibank says, okay, fine. I already have developed that functionality for Google Pay. I have already developed that functionality. So I'm going to give that to you as well. You can utilize it. Then after some time, Paytm comes and asks. After sometimes, Cred comes and asks. So like that, everybody comes and asks, I want to use your UPI fund transfer functionalities. And Citibank says, okay, fine. I already have that functionality. Let me expose it to you. So service providers means they will have the piece of code or the actual logic. They take the request, they process it, and they give you the response. Connectors or consumers or downstream systems are only going to send a request. So Google Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm, whatever the other UPI apps you have, everybody is only a downstream system. They are consumers. Citibank, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, SBI, all these are upstream systems. They process the response, data, and they'll give you the response. Now, similarly, let's say, for example, your company is trying to process your salary. Okay. So there'll be some website, okay, where they will maintain all the employee details, like what is the employee ID, what is his basic, what is his HRA, what is the bonus, what is the hike, is he leaving the company, then full and final settlement, how much amount I have to give him, does he have any, what is it, paid offs, how much money I have to deduct. Like this, there'll be a website where they will maintain all this data. Now, whenever you are trying to process salary every month, you have to connect to that website, get all that info, and process the salaries and dispatch it. So here two applications will interact with each other. One application which is which is going to calculate the salary. Second application which contains all the data about employee, like what is his basic, HRA, bonus, hike, XYZ info. So the application which is requesting the info is a downstream system. Application which contains all the salary details of an employee is the upstream system. So upstream systems are called as service providers. Downstream systems are called as consumers. Any questions so far?
Nikhila,
Okay.
I have
Mhm.
a small question. Nikhila, like
Sure.
when Paytm is sending a request to Citibank, okay, to
Mhm.
send me the transaction ID, and in turn we want the response also, na? So like you said, how means down system and yes, I'm not able to get that actually.
No, so where are you missing? I didn't get you. So Google Pay sends a request or Paytm sends a request to the corresponding bank. They will
Okay.
process it and they will give you a response, a transaction ID, transaction status, XYZ. Whatever info these people need.
Okay, so here Google is a downstream system. Am I right?
Downstream system, right?
Okay, but in case of like when Google will become, uh, the other way, like. In which scenario?
If they are sending any response to anybody else, let's say from example, right, from Amazon you can use Google Pay. While you're making payment using in an Amazon website, you can use Google Pay. So Amazon is sending a request to Google Pay. Google Pay may
Mhm.
make the fund transfer and give back response to Amazon. So in this case, Google Pay is the upstream system, Amazon is the downstream system.
Okay, okay, okay. So you need to say, okay, based on the request and response, uh,
Yeah,
it
people
is.
who are requesting are downstreams. People who are providing the info are upstreams.
Okay, okay, okay. In case, for example, if any transaction reversal, if anything is there, then our system, Google Pay, will become upward system, like to Citibank, something like that.
No, in what scenario Google Pay cannot become an upstream to Citibank? But tell me the
At any point.
scenario.
Okay, okay,
It depends on the requirements. See, we can't say. End of the day, the concept is simple. If you are requesting info, you are a downstream. If you're providing the response, you are an upstream.
okay. Got it. Okay, this thumb rule. Okay. Thanks, Nicola.
Okay. Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Now, there are two rules involved in this entire thing. Only two rules are involved. One rule is called as service and the other one is called as connector. Okay. So there are only two rules involved. One is service and the other one is connector. And where is the rest of the code then? It's all activity only. That is the reason I'm teaching you SOAP service, early. Generally, we do it towards the end of the training. The reason is you're already, to some extent, you're good in the activities. So I thought, why don't we jump into SOAP and you get more hands on the activities. So, service is a rule, okay, which is actually maintained by upstream systems. Okay. So, what downstream systems will do is they will connect to that service. So connector is a rule which will be maintained by downstream systems. So take any tool, any technology, okay? Take any tool in technology, the same wording we will use. Downstream, upstream, service, connector, same wording. Services means it's a rule which is maintained by upstream systems. Connectors means it's a rule which is maintained by downstream systems. So what is present inside the service rule? They will have activity, okay, which will take the request and give you the response. What is present inside the connector rule? They will have the request that you want to send to the upstream system, and after receiving the response, how to consume it, we will maintain in the connector rule. Okay, so service is a rule which is maintained by upstream systems only. Connector is a rule which is maintained by downstream systems only. And can I use this service for multiple downstream systems? Of course, yes. Okay. So a service once hosted can be utilized by multiple downstream systems. So what I mean is, let's say for example, okay, let's say for example, Citibank hosted a service called as, mm, you know, process fund transfer. Okay, so they have created a piece of code called as process fund transfer. It will take, it takes, you know, from and to account numbers as input, from and to account numbers and amount as inputs. Okay, and returns transaction ID and transaction status as response. Now, okay, they hosted a service. Now, this service can be triggered by connectors of Google Pay PhonePe, Paytm, Amazon, Mintra. Anybody can use this, right? Anybody can use this. Why? Even when you're making payment from Amazon, you can just do a account number transfer, right? Net banking. So you give account number and you want the amount, they will do the amount and they'll give you transaction ID and transaction status. You can use from Mintra also because you're providing account numbers and amount to be deducted. So you can use this. Google Pay and Phone Pay and Paytm also, same thing. So once you host a service, you can just grant access to any other application to process it, to request the info. Okay. So once it is hosted, any number of people can make use of it. Any questions so far, guys? So moving ahead, in Pega, we can either host a service or you can consume a service. Both are possible. Okay, hosting a service means just you have some piece of code, you're granting access to external applications to use it. That is nothing but hosting a service. See, if you take Citibank, we can log in into Citibank net banking website, right? You can make a fund transfer there. You can select your payee, you can select the amount, and you can make a fund transfer. So, what is Citibank doing there? Fund transfer. Now, as a part of service hosting, what are you doing? Same fund transfer functionality, you are giving access to external websites like Google Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm, Amazon, Mintra. So it is nothing but exposing a part of the functionality in your project to external systems. That is what is called as service. Hosting a service is nothing but I have some piece of code in my project. I want to grant access to the external systems to make use of it. That is hosting a service. Okay. Now, so this is a very important question. They will ask you what is a service? Just tell them that you have some piece of code in your project. You want to expose it to the external systems. Then we create a rule called a service. That's it. Okay. In service, you will give that activity and the external people will send you request. You process it and you give them the response. So service is nothing but just exposing a part of the functionality in your project so that external systems can get access to it. Now, what rules do we create as a part of service hosting? We create a rule called a service package. We create a rule called a service soap, parts rules, stream rules, and activity. Activity, you know. Okay. What is service package? It contains all the access related information for services. It has access group. Okay. Most important thing that is present in a service package is it maintains all the access related information for a service. It contains especially access group and of course pooling information. Okay, forget about pooling information, but the most important thing here we maintain is access group. Now, why is access group present in the service package rule? It's a package. Package means it's like it can contain multiple things inside it. When you say this is a packet, inside the packet, I can keep multiple items, right? So, in a service package, I can keep, you know, multiple services. I can keep multiple services. So, for all these services, they use the access group maintained in this rule. First of all, why do you need an access group here? Now, when a person logs into your project, you're identifying, okay, whether this person is a manager or a user or a developer. and you're giving him the access group. Based on the access group, he will see the portals. Based on the access group, some things may be visible, some things may not be visible, some things may be read only, something may be editable. So you're controlling the access for a person, right? Now, how do you want to control the access to an external system who is connecting to you? So when you say service and connector, external system is coming and connecting to you, right? So don't you want to control the access? What if they hack and take the all information in your project? Right? So we have to control the access, right? I can't grant them entire project access. Okay, so that is the reason I want to control their access. Now, how can I control their access? They don't have any specific operator ID, right? So it's a backend. In the backend, the calls will happen. I'm sitting on the Google Pay application. I scan the code. I set a fund transfer. In the backend, Google Pay sends a request to Citibank. So there is no specific operator involved there. It's a request which is happening in the browser. Now, how can I handle that? How can I control that? So what they do is in the service package, they will maintain an access group. Okay. So whenever somebody is connecting to any of the services which is present in this package, okay, only this level of access they will have. In this access group, we will mention what application they can access, what rule sets they can access, what versions they can access, we will maintain. So only that level of access will be granted to the services present in that service package. So when some external system is trying to connect to the service, we are restricting their access based on this access group. Otherwise, there you may end up with security issues. People may hack your system. Okay, so that is the reason we maintain an access group in the service package. Now, why should I maintain it in the package? Why can't I maintain it in every single service rule? Suppose I have 10 services in my project. Why am I not maintaining the access group in each service? See, instead of maintaining this access group in each service, if you keep it at a package level, it is easy, right? Tomorrow I want to change the access group or I want to add something else in the access group. It's easy for me to maintain in one single package than opening every single service rule and updating the access. So that is the reason we maintain access groups in the service package. Very important question from interview point of view. What is present inside a service package? It contains access group and pooling information. Now, what is pooling information? Service package also contains pooling info. Okay, what is pooling info? Pooling means how many requests you can handle at one go. Okay, so how many requests and responses you can handle in one go. Based on server capacity, we will do. It is like 10 threads you want to process at one go, 10 in idle state, 10 in the queue, like that. Based on server capacity, we take care. I can't, if I and somebody else is trying to make Google Pay at the same time, Google Pay can't say please wait till the other person's transaction is over, right? They can't say that. So you have to do parallel processing. So how many things you can process in parallel? We mention in the pooling. How many threads requests you can process in parallel. And the most important thing you maintain here is access group. Okay. And endpoint URL. What is endpoint URL? See, you are a service provider. You have a service with you, and your website is Citibank. Now, Google Pay or Phone Pay is the consumer. They want to connect to your service. How will they connect to your service? You have to tell them the URL, right? In this URL, my service is there. So, endpoint is URL is nothing but in what URL your service is present, you give that URL to the other party. Otherwise, how will they connect to your system? You should share your website URL, right? That is nothing but service URL. Okay. We also call it as endpoint URL. It's nothing but the URL in which your service is present, the code is present. So they hit the URL and they connect to your application. So Phone Pay, Google Pay will connect to Citibank, HDFC Bank using endpoint URL. It's nothing but the place where the service is present. Any questions so far, guys, on service package?
Nikhila, one question.
Yeah,
Not
please go
really
ahead.
related. Yeah. Very initially, you said Pega is a desktop application. At very initial
No,
session.
no, no, no. I never said it. I never said it's a desktop application. Did you install it on desktop? No, right? It is something which is hosted on the web. I said it is not a desktop app. Okay. We can build web apps and mobile apps using Pega.
Okay.
Intranet tool.
Internet. I thought it's an internet application, not intranet. That's it.
Okay.
Sorry, I said
Another.
internet and intranet. Yeah, it's generally used in the intranet, not in the internet. Maximum we use it on the intranet. In the company's network, we use it.
But if you are exposing it, right, it should be hosted somewhere, right, on Azure Cloud or AWS Cloud. The endpoint, what are you talking?
What is the requirement to host it on cloud? Even if you host it on your company's server, still they connect to it using the endpoint URL. See, you are hosting it on the in the what is on the server, right? So they grant you access. It's on the web, it's on the internet or kind of right? We buy some website and we host it, right? When you host the application, so they get
Okay.
access to it.
Okay. Got it.
Again, not all Pega applications are intranet. Maximum they are intranet, okay? And some, of course, they are internet also, but maximum they are internet because everything deals with your business within your company. Like healthcare, within your company only you deal. So it's an intranet. So if a healthcare customer support representative want to do work from home, it is not possible. They have to connect to the company network only. Or what they do, they use Cisco VPN, to connect to company network and then utilize the applications. Okay, now this is a service package rule, guys, as you see here, and you can find it under the integration resources category. Okay, you're working with integrations. Now, this is just a resource. Okay, this is just a source resource. So, you can see the most important thing that they mention here is the access group. Now, this access group is going to be used by all the services that are listed down here. Right now, you see only one service, but in real time, you'll have a lot of services. And is it only SOAP? No, you can have SOAP, REST, file listeners. Different types of integrations can use the same package. No need to create multiple packages. You can reuse it. And all of them will be listed here and they are using this access group. Now you also see something called a stateless and stateful, very important interview question. They ask you what is the difference between the stateless and stateful. Stateless means browser is not maintaining the cookies. Okay, stateful means browser will maintain the cookies. Okay, most of the scenarios you don't need cookies. So we go for stateless. Whereas in some scenarios we need cookies. In what scenarios? Like say for example, Amazon is using Google Pay. Google Pay is again connecting to Citibank. Now Google Pay has to use cookies. Why? Till Citibank responds, Google Pay is on queue. Once Citibank responds, then Google Pay will get back to Amazon. So when there are multiple parties involved like this, you call X and X calls Y and X is waiting for the response from Y to respond back to you. So in between whoever is there, they have to maintain the cookies. So only in such scenarios we use stateful. Otherwise, generally we go for stateless only. Okay, so that is important. And the other important thing is like if you enable this requires authentication checkbox, you can also use different additional types of authentications. Basic authentication means the downstream system has to send you a operator ID and password, and you will check whether that is valid or not, and you will allow them to connect to your application. Otherwise, you can also use some additional levels of authentication like OAuth and any other extra things you can use. Okay, please remember this also. Then you can see the endpoint URL here. Do you see this localhost here 8080 PR web PR servlet, right? Localhost 8080 PR web PR soap servlet, soap services, right? So soap servlet, and this is the package name and this is the service name. You'll find everything here. See package name Go IBIBO service package, the same thing. Okay, this is endpoint URL. And I was telling about pooling. So you will find the pooling info here. Any questions on service package?
So if we go to pooling tab, Nikhila, set 10 idle, 10 active, maximum wait 10 seconds.
Mhm.
Just in this example, at any point of time, there can be only 10 requests. If there is a
10
21st request,
parallel requests I will process and 10 will be in the queue. And maximum they will wait only 10 seconds. Within 10 seconds, you have to process it. So this number may increase or decrease depending upon the server capacity. And this is going to be supported by the Pega admin team. They are going to tell you how many we can process and all that.
got it. I want to say if there are more than 20, it sort of it's a timeout because you
Right. They have to be in the queue or loading or something like that will be coming for them.
got it. Yep. Okay. And one question, if you go to
Mhm.
context, you're saying the package or the service. If I developed a service, I can use the same service to connect to SOAP, connect to REST. So for one client, I want they're requesting SOAP. I can
Package.
is
Right.
it
Service package is like a cover, as I told you. Just assume a cover or a packet or a bag. Inside that bag, you can keep a book of soap, you can keep a book of rest, you can keep a book of file listener. So, like this, any type of integration you can keep in that bag. So, think like that. Package is nothing but like a bag. Inside that, you can keep any type of integration. It can be soap, it can be rest, it can be anything.
got it?
Whatever
But
the common configuration you have written, that will be coming to that.
sure. So the method name you said process UPI payment. So I have developed in Pega, right, the functionality. One client
Mhm.
came back and need a SOAP service, and one came back and said I need a REST service. So I need to have two different packages, correct?
See,
One
if
which
you are a upstream system, it is you who will decide whether you want soap or rest. You are not going to, do everything, again and again for the downstream system. I said I have a soap service. Now the downstream system student must use soap only. They can't come and say, no, 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 I want to use rest. You please configure. Why would I do that? Okay.
got it,
So if I have soap, they have to use soap only.
got it. Yeah.
Okay. Now moving ahead, so we are done with the package. Now what else do we create as a part of the SOAP integration? We create service SOAP rule. So what is service SOAP rule? It's just a template. It is just a template. It will contain what is your request, what is your response, what is the name of the activity which is going to process the request and give you the response. Okay, this is survey soap rule. Okay, what does it contain? What is the request? What is the response we are going to provide? And the most important, what is the name of the activity which is going to process your request and give you back the response? Okay, so this is just a service soap rule. It contains this information. And other areas, what you need to know is which class properties you're going to store on this. If you want to trigger in a data transform, you can trigger, but generally I never saw anyone doing this. And the most important, the page name. See, none of these are happening in the work object, right? You didn't create a work object in this case. You are a upstream system. Somebody is connecting to you, and that's a background request. No operator is involved, no work object is involved. So where will you keep the data? There is no py work page. Okay, so where are you going to keep the request and the response? I got a request from the external system. Where should I keep on the clipboard? This is the page name. Okay, my service page is a default page that Pega gives you to store the request and response on the clipboard. Can I rename it? Of course, give whatever page name you want. Okay, so this is the page on which your request and response are going to be found on the clipboard. So when I'm working with services, I don't want people to say PY work page. I expect you to say my service page or whatever page is mentioned here. This will only contain the request and the response. No other page will contain the request and response. Okay. Now the actual activity which is going to take the request from my service page and process it and keep the response back on my service page. Okay. So no PY work pages here, only my service page here. Because we are not creating any work object, right? Somebody is reaching out to me, sending a background request. So no PY work pages here. Now style induce, like it's like what type of data you are sending. See, if you're sending any encoded data, we use RPC encoded. If you're sending document literal means, see the request tab, you're using parts rule. XML parts rule means data is coming in the form of XML, in the form of SOAP messages. Okay. So then we use a document literal. RPC literal means here we will not have any XML rules. Okay. Directly you can give the property and you can give the values. Like I can say this property is integer and I can say count number. Okay, and what is the property on clipboard? Some property on clipboard. So not XML. Directly you will get property value you will get directly. No XMLs, no tags, nothing. So then we say this one, RPC literal. But you will rarely find people using RPC literal. Most of us go with only document literal because this is more secured also. So we go with that. Okay. Now not so much required. Okay, and requester vendor means do you want to kill the requester once the processing is done? Synchronous, asynchronous. 90%
Nikhila?
we go for only synchronous. Yeah, please.
No, actually, your screen is blocked, I guess. We are not able to, we are just only able to see the service soap screen. Are you showing anything else?
Others, guys, are you able to see my navigation when I move here and there?
Yes, Nikhila.
Yes, Nikhila.
Anusha,
Yes.
maybe something on your side. Can you please check?
I think I have to rejoin maybe.
Hmm.
Okay, okay, Nikhila, I'll do that.
Okay, so here you can see synchronous and asynchronous. 90% we are using synchronous only. Again, very important interview question. What is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous? Synchronous means you send a request, you get the response immediately. See, when you do a Google Pay or Phone Pay or Paytm, what happens? You do a fund transfer, immediately transaction response will come, right? Or go to GoIBIBO website, enter the data like from and to dates. The list of flights will display immediately. Those are all synchronous requests. Asynchronous request means like your NEFT fund transfer. You give the account numbers, you give the money to be deducted, right? The money is not deducted the immediate next minute, right? NEFT means after some time the fund transfer will happen. That is asynchronous. So asynchronous means they will keep your request in the queue. They will keep it in the queue and there will be some background job which executes in certain time frame, like once in an hour, every day 12 o'clock, or once in every 3 hours, or every weekend. They will have some job. When the job runs, they will process the request and they'll give you the response. Most of the soap services I have worked are only synchronous. We never worked with asynchronous, but there are some projects where they also use asynchronous. But generally, we do synchronous only. So important interview question in this is, you need to remember about the parts and the stream rules. You need to remember about the synchronous and asynchronous. Okay.
Repeat asynchronous, Nikhila, please.
I didn't get your question. Can you just say it again?
Uh, can you repeat asynchronous?
Asynchronous means just like your NEFT fund transfer. You send a request, you will not get the response right away. After some time, they will process it from the queue and they will get back to you. So you send a request, I will send a request, multiple people will send requests. They will keep it in the queue. Once in 2 hours or once in 3 hours or once in a day, they will run some background job and that job will process all these requests in bulk and give the response. That is asynchronous. So no immediate responses.
Got it, Nikhila.
Okay. Now this is something new that came up in later versions of Pega. I think from Pega 7.x or 8.x they have introduced this. SLA for the service. Okay, so why should I have an SLA for the service? So in older versions of Pega, what used to happen is if you trigger a service and let's say the other party is busy, okay, let's say Google Pay has sent a request to Citibank. Let's say Citibank is down, Citibank is under maintenance. What will happen? Your transaction will fail, right? So I have to wait for some time. I have to sit in that store, and again I have to scan, and again if that is under maintenance, again I have to wait. So, or if the Citibank website is too busy, too many users, maybe some Thanksgiving is going on, or some sale is going on, too many users are using, so there may be a little bit of latency issues or downtimes. Okay, and my service may not work at that particular time, right? So I have to retry multiple times, whereas now they have given an SLA option in the service. The best part with this is you can give your goal time and deadline time. Okay, so if that within that much time frame, if the SLA is not able to, if the service is not able to give you the response, okay, they will have the retry thing. Earlier days, we never have this retry. Okay, so you can see here, maximum duration is 500 milliseconds. In 500 milliseconds, I should get the response. If I don't get the response, they will only try 3 times. If you want to increase, you can increase it. Okay, you can make it 5 times also, as you wish, as per your client requirement. They will only retry within how many gap time. Every 10 seconds they are going to do a retry. Okay, well, like those who have used Uber app, if you're trying to book a cab, okay, first you will mention your destination and you'll try book a cab. Okay, they will start searching for drivers. Then after that, they will say no driver found. Again, they will say searching for drivers. So every 10 seconds, they will again make a reattempt. They are attempting again and again. How many times they will try? Maybe 3 times or 5 times. After that, finally, they will say no cab driver is accepting your request. So that the same way, you can retry a number of times, and the retry interval is 10 seconds, and you are expecting a response in 500 milliseconds. Okay, so after 3 times also you are not able to get a response. What should we do? You can write some activity to handle that issue. Maybe you can display a message to the user, or you can keep it in some queue and try after some time. Based on your client requirement, what do you want to do? You write in the fallback activity. Any questions on this one?
Not on this one, Nikhila, but like we are hitting the activity when we are calling this service soap, right? So if you can scroll up a little, we might be using a service activity name here, right? But PY apply for
Mm-hmm.
loan. So instead of
Mm-hmm.
activity, can we use the data transform here, or is it has
No,
to be
you can't.
activity every time?
It has to be activity. See, there's no option to give a data transform here. However, what you can do is inside the activity, you can call data transform. Oh, I didn't show you the method to call data transform, right? So if you want to call a data transform from activity, the method is apply data transform and give your data transform name. That's
Okay.
it. You can call.
Okay. And another question I have is on empty something is related to empty here, right? If you scroll down a little, what does it do? The processing options
Uh,
here.
Not so aware of this, but see, it is basically this is something which has to be enabled for all SOAP services. Okay, so we blindly enable it. I don't have much info about this, however. See, if you don't know about any option, you can just see the help here. Okay, open that particular rule and go to help. I only remember that MTOM is something which has to be enabled for all SOAP services. We never disable this. However, you can do a control F and you can search for that. Oh, no info over here as well. Okay, you can see for W3 message transmission, this has to be enabled. As I told you, generally for SOAP, this has to be enabled. Okay, and they
Okay.
are mentioning
Okay.
that for message transmission, this has to be enabled for SOAP services.
Okay.
Okay,
And is it
guys, any
mandatory that
particular. Mhm.
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead,
It is
Nikhil. I'm sorry.
mandatory for SOAP. It is mandatory.
And do we need to have the request sample a handy ahead before like when we create a soap sample here or service soap?
No, you are the service provider, right? So you will decide what should be the request and what should be the response. So you will not have any sample requests. You will decide what properties are my request and what properties are my response. You have to decide. Once we do the hands-on, you will understand.
Okay, sure, sure.
Okay, and in this context, I just want to tell you one thing, guys. Open any rule, okay? If you are not sure what is that option in that particular rule, always go to the help section here. Get help. Every rule will have its own help, okay? If an activity you're clicking on help, you will land on a page which talks about activity only. Okay, so scroll down, look at the various options, learn about it. Just a quick support you will find like this. Okay, now moving ahead. So what is
No.
request tab and response tab? They will contain the parts rules and the stream rules. So remember one thing, you are a service provider, right? Means somebody is sending you the request, right? So they will send you XML. Now what you have to do, you have to get the data out of that XML. So out of all the tags, where is the data you have to figure out? So you need a parts rule in the request because someone is sending you a request, it's in the form of XML. I have to parse it, open it, and take the data from that. So I need a parse rule in the request. See XML parse rule, and here we will maintain. What is the XML tag name and what is the property in which you want to keep the data. I will explain you more in detail once we start the hands-on. Now, similarly, if you go to the response tab, I am sending response to someone. Okay, and the universally accepted language is XML. So I have to keep my response data in a XML tag and send them. So I have to form the XMLs here. So for forming XMLs, we use stream rules. Now, very important interview question they ask you in a service SOAP rule, what XML will be present under request and what under response? In service SOAP, under request, I will have parse XMLs. Under response, I will have stream XMLs. What about Connect SOAP? In Connect SOAP, I am a downstream system. I am sending request. So I will have stream in request and parse under response. So vice versa, it will be there. Okay. In the Connect SOAP rules, you are the downstream system, right? You are sending a request. So you will have stream rules, forming XML rules. And in the response, you will have parse rules. Okay, so vice versa, it will be present. Okay, when you do hands-on, you will understand more about this request and the response rules. Any questions so far, guys? Okay. Now, what is this false
Um,
step?
yeah,
Yeah, please
Nikhila,
go ahead.
one question here.
Hmm.
Sorry to interrupt, Nikhila. One question here.
Look,
So let's say I have an application, like three applications in between. So let's say Google Pay, we can take an example of a Google Pay here. Google Pay is hitting the service to get the information from SDFC, and SDFC is hitting a response from Visa to pull the maybe transaction related information or something. Like we have another application basically. So, when I take SDFC an example as a middle application, this is acting as a downstream as well as the upstream application in between, right?
right.
For both Google Pay as well as to the Visa.
Hmm.
So
Right, you
now
are right.
in this example or in this scenario, what will be the parse XML or what will be the um, another
You
one?
will not use the same service, right? So when Google Pay is connecting to HDFC, the service name might be like, process fund transfer. When HDFC is
Okay.
connecting to MasterCard, the service name may be like fetch transaction details. So in one service, HDFC will have request and response tabs. In the request tab, they will have parts XML and the response stream XML. The second scenario, HDFC is a downstream system. It will have connect SOAP rule. It will not have service SOAP rule, right? So in connect SOAP rule, it is on the request tab, it is stream rule, and the response tab, it is parts rule. So it is not same
Okay.
service you are using in one service and one connector you are
Mm.
using there.
Okay. 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 Got it. Thanks. Thanks, Nikhila.
Okay, okay, no problem.
And
Okay,
can
so
you explain about
Mhm.
authentication type?
in the service SOAP you're saying, or which one?
Yeah, you told me the basic authentication. What?
No, basic authentication means you can pass username and password. So in the request, they have to pass the usernames and passwords. OAuth is it's again a separate service. OAuth services will be there. So they have to use OAuth services and then they have to do authentication. Under some category here, you will find OAuth services. So here somewhere, you will find it OAuth. So OAuth is again a separate service. They have to do all that configuration to do authentication. Okay. However, if it is basic authentication, it's just username and password they have to use.
Oh,
Okay. Now let's implement the SOAP service, guys. Then you will understand more in detail. First, we will do service SOAP, then you will do connect SOAP. Okay. Now, before you implement the SOAP service, we need to identify what is the request and the response. Say request, I need account number, from account number to account number, and how much amount I need in the request. Response, I will just tell how much amount they want to. So response is transaction ID and transaction status. Okay, so these are my requests and responses. Now, do you have properties for that? Do you have a property called as from account number to account number? No. Amount, yes, I have amount called as transaction amount. I can use that. Do you have a property to send the response like transaction ID and transaction status? No. So first, let's create properties before you host a service. So I'm going to create bulk properties. You know how to create bulk properties, right? Right click on data model and say create properties. Add field from account number means source from which account I have to deduct the money. Okay, it's a text only because integer doesn't accept more than like 7 or 8 digits they don't accept. So we have length constraint. So we will give text. Anyways, on account number, you will not do any additions and subtractions, right? So it's okay to have it as text. Now,
Yeah. Hello.
yes, please.
We are having two bucket from bucket properties, right? Can we use that properties?
Um, we can use that, but I'll tell you how and what. Okay, so we are going to use them as a parameters. Okay, when the person creates a work object, that whatever he selects in from bucket and to bucket will go as a parameter to this service. Okay, so we are going to use them, but whatever data is present in those drop downs will become a parameter to this. Okay, remember now you're hosting a service, right? So you are not EC application. Okay, we are thinking that we are the bank. Okay, EC application is connecting with HDFC Bank or Citibank and doing the fund transfer. Okay, so we are right now bank. Okay, we are doing the fund transfer. So you are no longer EC application. Using service means you're connecting to another system, right? So now, okay, I'm hosting service, right? I'm hosting service means I am the bank, right? I am the bank. Somebody is going to connect to me, sending the from account and to account. Now, who is that somebody? EC application will be somebody. Okay, I'm creating a service thinking that I am the bank. Maybe I'm HDFC Bank, maybe I'm Citibank, maybe I'm some other bank, Axis Bank or something. Okay, now applications like EC, Google Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm, they will reach out to me sending me the from account number to account number and amount to be deducted. Okay, so now you're building a service assuming that you are a bank. Okay, and people will send you requests, you have to process and you have to give them the response. Account number to account number is done. From account number to account number, and amount, right? So amount, you already have a property transaction amount, so I don't want to touch that. And service transaction ID I have to return. Mm, money move tran ID. So in my real-time project, this service was called as money movement service. Means money is moving here and there, right? So we used to call it as money movement service. So here I'm giving the same name, money movement transaction ID. Okay, or MMT ID. You can call it as MMT ID or money movement transaction ID. That is one thing. It's just a transaction ID, right? And I also want to give the transaction status. Status. Okay. So I created 4 properties. Okay. Money movement, transaction ID, transaction status, from account number and to account number. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a service thinking that I'm the upstream system. Downstream systems are going to connect to me and use it. Please remember that in real time projects, services and connectors will not lie in the same project at least 90% of the times. Yeah, sometimes they both may lie in the same project. That scenario is different. We'll talk about it later. But in some 90% of the times, they will not lie in the same project. Okay. See, if you are the service provider, somebody else will be the connector, right? Why will you host a service and why will you consume it? Instead of hosting a service, you can directly call that activity, right? What is the point in hosting and again consuming the same thing? So in real time, I will have service soap rule. Somebody else will have connect soap rule. I will not have both the rules in the same project. What is the point in using service soap? Then I can directly call the activity, right? So we will not have that. So similarly, right now you're creating service, right? So think that you are a bank. Okay, you're HDFC Bank. You're no longer EC application employee. You're a HDFC Bank employee, and you're creating a service for the downstream systems. Now, how do you create a service? There is a wizard to do that. Integration, services, service wizard. Now, then the most important part of your interview starts here. Every interviewer is going to ask you, how do you host a service? Okay. You can also create a service by creating each rule individually. Suppose as a part of service, I have to create an activity, right? So go create an activity like this. I have to create a service soap rule like this. I have to create a service package like this. I have to create a parts rule and stream rule. Parts rule, stream rule. Like this also you can create, but that is a hectic way. You have to create every single rule and do the mapping, which is so easy. Okay. So in 99% of the scenarios, we use wizard only. We use a wizard to host the service. Okay. If somebody is doing manual, then they don't know this service wizard. Okay. Now, the most important interview question on this is they ask you how do you host a service and they expect you to explain about every single screen you see here. There are a set of 4 to 6 screens you will encounter and you have to explain them every single screen. So please remember this whole set before you go for an interview. First thing is like this drop down also they will ask you. What are the 3 options you will see on the first screen? Create and manage work, invoke existing activity, process input and output. Create and manage work means I am going to host this service which will create work objects in my project. Okay. See, as of today in your project, how are you creating work objects? You will have a button on the screen. When they click on the button, the work objects are getting created. Okay. Now let's say, for example, the end user will send me in the request. What is the fraud time? What is the account number? What is the transaction ID? What is the transaction date? What is the network? He will send me all the details and I have to create a work object. So in that case, I use create and manage work. Create means creating work objects. So if you want to create work objects in the backend like that, then we use create and manage work. Okay. So if that is your purpose, we use create and manage work. But in this project, the customer support representative will receive a call and he is creating projects, and we don't need this option as of now. So we are not using this. What is invoke existing activity? You already have this money movement activity. Okay, just plug in that in the next screen and use it. That's it. You already have the activity. Just convert it into a service. That's it. Okay. What is the third option? No, you don't have any activity. You have to write down the activity and decide what is the request and what is the response. That's the third option. Any questions so far? These three values they may ask you in the interviews. Perfect. Now, what type of service you are creating? I'm creating soap. So I will go with soap. Next, data class. No, please don't think that it is your data type. No, 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 no. The class which has your request and your response properties. Okay, not the data classes. No. So my work class is having the request and response properties. Okay. Now, what is the name of your service? Money movement. Okay. I'm going to name my services money movement. Oh, hold on, guys. See here, let me check the screenshots if the name is slightly different, I will better do one thing. I will capture a new set of screenshots. Okay. And then the second screen where I'm just going to mention the name of the service and the class which holds your data. And the next screen, they are going to ask you what is your request and what is the response. Okay. Now here, do you see there's a checkbox? Use XML for data mapping. If you use this checkbox, your input and output will go inside XML. If you don't use the checkbox, I have shown you a drop down, right? RPC literal, document literal. If you say document literal directly, you can send the properties and values. So if you choose checkbox, that XML format will come. If you don't use this checkbox, directly properties and values will go. Okay. So choice is yours. You can try whatever you wish to try. Okay, let's say in input I will use checkbox and output I will not use checkbox, just to teach you the differences. So this is input, guys. Okay, this is only input. So what is your input you have to mention here? Okay, so please make sure you give the checkbox here. Input from account number to account number you have, right? From account number and to account number. Okay, we also have to give something called as from account name and to account name. Why is that important? Okay, in this we are giving. Okay, so in this we are going to even give from account name and to account name we have to give. The reason is, okay, see, if it is customer data, you will have the account numbers and you can do the fund transfer. Okay, now when are you doing fund transfer, you have a source and destination, right? Okay, in the current project, okay, you are sending the money from bank to customer or from customer to bank. Now, which bank? Yeah, HDFC Bank. So, where is bank related accounts here? Okay. So, for bank related accounts, okay, we will have different names called as suspense, merchant, holdover, So we will have a table like that in my, in a real time project. We used to have a table like this which contains account names like this: suspense account, holdover account, loss account, merchant account. So depending upon the business scenario, okay, from this internal bank account, we used to deduct the money and give it to the customer. Suppose this is the loss to me, I will deduct it from the loss account and give it to the customer. Okay, different business scenarios we used to have. So depending on that, we used to deduct the money from this account and we used to give it to the customer. Okay, so that is the reason we just giving account number is not sufficient, because in case of bank internal accounts, we don't have account numbers. We only used to have account names: suspense, holdover, merchant, loss, like that. And based on that, they used to identify that and they have to send the money. Okay, the same way we are going to do here. What I am going to do is first create a table called as internal bank accounts, and that maintain different internal bank accounts and their bank balances. Okay, and then in the SOAP service, we are going to do the fund transfer. So as of now, what I will do is first I will pause my service wizard. Okay, create a table called as internal bank accounts. Only two fields: account type and bank balance. It can't be text. You are going to do some additions and subtractions on this. So it should be a integer only. Submit. Okay. Go to records, as you know, configure source. Account type is the key. You don't need any data pages for this, right? So remove this checkbox. Otherwise, Pega will give you 3 data pages. I don't need them. So I'm just disabling that. Close. Okay. Account type, suspense, loss, holdover, merchant. So merchant is like, let's say for example, you and other banker, are sending and receiving money multiple times because of various fraud and non-fraud issues happening in your bank. Okay. So if you have some amount of the other bank with you, okay, that is called as merchant amount. Okay, so we also have some buffer amount with us. So if any issue, no need to reach out to the merchants, because you already have their amount, some buffer amount with you from previous transactions. We deduct from that. Okay, so merchant accounts, and give some amount in each. I just gave something. Okay, now in the service wizard, how will I identify whether this is bank account or customer account? So I need another property called as account type. Okay, so they have to tell me whether it is a customer account or bank account. If it is customer account, I will open this table and I will get his bank balance details. Okay, if it is internal bank account, I will use this table and get the bank balance details and do additions and subtractions. Okay, so that is the reason. If you see in my screenshots here, we also have another input called as in the service. We also have another input called as from account name and to account name. Okay, so the same thing I'm going to do here. I'm going to create two properties and use them in my service. Submit. Okay, now come back to your service wizard. Your properties will not reflect because just now you created, right? So go back and come forward. Use XML for data mapping. Now look for your properties here. From account name, from account number. To account name, to account number, transaction amount and transaction status, and we have something called as money movement transaction ID, right? Maybe in the previous page. Yeah, money movement transaction ID. So all these things you have to select in the input only. Oh, hold on. Why did I select transaction ID and transaction status? That is response, right? Transaction status is response. It should not be an input. Okay. Transaction ID and transaction status is a response. Only input properties you have to select here. Now come down. Okay. Here purposefully I'm not using this XML checkbox. In the screenshots, I have enabled checkbox for both the cases. Okay. So you try whatever you wish to try, you can try. So here I'm going to select transaction ID and transaction status in the response. Transaction ID, transaction status. So this is how you select what is my input and what is my output in the service wizard. Now click on next. Now they're asking you in which rule set and which version you want me to create the rule. Okay. So you look, we also have some higher versions, right? Why this version is coming? Okay. Yeah, we have 0201. So let me create in 0201. Okay. Then do you want to create a new service package or do you already have an existing package? See, if you already have a package, okay, which was created for any other service earlier, you can utilize it like this. You can just pick your package from the down arrow. Let's say, no, till day I never create a service package. I want to completely create a new one. Use this one. Or do you want to copy from an existing package? You can use this. Okay. Now I want to create a complete new service package. So click on the next screen. This is service package. Okay. Give some name to it. Let me see what name I have given here. Same name I would like to maintain here so that you don't have any confusions. Epic services. Okay. Here it is Epic services. So here I'm calling it as EC services. Okay. And then it is stateless, the access group. I'm not giving any authentication now. And then next. So this is very important interview question. When you run the service wizard, what all rules are created? Service soap rule is created, activity rule is created, parts rules will be created, stream rules will be created. Because I did not enable the checkbox, stream rule is not there. Oh, I'll bet it. Okay, you follow the screenshots, guys. You will see the stream rule as well. I just want to show you the difference between using the checkbox and not using the checkbox. So I did not enable checkbox in the second one. So you can see parts rules are created. Okay. Then service package is created. So please remember these are all the rules created using service soap wizard. Service soap, service package, parts rule, stream rule, and activity. Okay. Now click on the finish button. All the rules are created. You can see here.
Nikhila, what does new service package will do?
It will contain the access group and pooling and all that information, right? Stateless, stateful, all that. Inside the package,
Uh,
your services will be present. Inside the package, you will have the access related information.
I did not quite follow that part actually. Uh, I mean, what
See,
exactly? Mm,
okay. I'll just give you a high level thing. Okay. Once you listen to the
okay,
recording and get back to me if you still have questions. See,
sure,
package is
sure.
nothing but just like a bag. Inside that bag, you dump all your services. Suppose I have 10 services in my project. For all services, I have to give access group, I have to give pooling information, I have to give that stateless, stateful, everything, right? So we maintain all that information in a package. This is package, easy services. Inside the package, you will keep your service. So package basically contains your access group information, your pooling information and all that. So let me open the package, you can see. See, it contains stateless or stateful, access group, and the most important one is endpoint URL. So all this will be present inside a package.
Okay,
And in one
okay.
package, you can have multiple services you can have. So next time if I'm creating another soap service, I will use the same package. I'm not going to create a new package again. So in same package, you can give multiple services.
Got it.
Okay. Now you can see here package is created. Now activity, they will create activity, but they will not write the code. It's your responsibility to write the code. How will they know what code you need to write? Parts rule, we didn't enable the checkbox in the response, otherwise you would have got stream rule as well. So you can see this once we create the XML, I'll explain you this rule. Okay, so leave this for now. Now where is my service soap?
Nikhila, if you are creating a REST service, you cannot add it into the same, correct?
No, you can. Not
Okay,
only soap services in the same package, you can have soap, you can have rest, you can have file listeners, you can have anything on the same package.
because in one of the definition it was given, that's the reason I asked. If you go to Wizard,
No, no, no. I'll show you when we do practicals. I'll show you. We are going to use the same package there also.
okay, thanks.
Okay. Now, okay. So it's time for us to write down the activity. So before you write down the activity, take a break because this activity logic is going to be little complicated. It's only calculations plus and minus you will do. But here and there you will be moving and you will be doing. So little complicated. Take a break for 10 minutes. We'll connect back again at 8:42 and we will do the activity logic. Okay. See you in some time, guys.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Let's resume. Anyone, any questions before we resume?
Nikhila. Uh,
Yes, please.
I yeah, I actually there is one option you have said, right? Enable service SLA with fallback. So in that case,
Mhm.
if we are hosting a service, we are thinking as a we are thinking ourselves as a bank, and we are the service provider. So in that case, that option we don't have to select, right?
See, it's a retry item, the same thing. We are service providers. They are sending us the request, right? So if you're not able to process the request and give them the response within 500 milliseconds, you're keeping some, retry attempt.
Okay, okay,
So it's only for
got
it's
it.
for you have to do it for on the behalf of them, okay? Because maybe your system
Uh,
is busy, or maybe you have some, latency issues or timeout issues right now. So you just want to retry, rather than they sending requests again and again, you just want to do a retry attempt on your side and give them
okay,
the
got it, got it.
response.
Okay.
Okay, now it's time for us to write down the activity, assuming that you are getting request from the other party and you are the bank who is going to do the fund transfer and give them back the transaction ID and transaction status. Now remember that your request and response will always sit on my service page on the clipboard. Of course, you can rename and you can give whatever page you want to give here. Okay. Now let's think of the steps that you need to write in the activity. Okay, just give me a second. Yeah. Okay, so what are the various things that you have to do in this activity right now? First of all, you need to identify what type of accounts you are getting. See, the fund transfer may be between two banks, right? So if you take your scenario in this project I'm talking about, okay, not the Google Pay, Phone Pay scenario. In this project, if you take, okay, if you are in chargeback, you are asking money from the vendor, the merchant bank. So bank to bank fund transfer will happen. If you're in customer liable, customer to bank money transfer will happen. If you're in write off, bank to customer, it will happen. So there are chances sometimes it is bank to bank, sometimes it is bank to customer, right? So first you have to identify, is the from account a bank or a customer? Is the to account a bank or a customer? You have to identify. After that, based on that, you have to do the subtractions and do the fund transfer. So first I'm going to create some when rules to identify whether my from account is a bank or a customer. So I'm going to, oh, you don't know when rules, right? Okay, let me teach you when rules right now. So you know when logic, right? You can write down a when condition here like this. Dot from account is equals to, you can just write down whether it is suspense or merchant or holdover or customer, you can write down. Okay. Instead of writing the whole logic here, you can create a rule called as when rule in Pega. Okay. So what is the difference between writing down the logic here and creating a when rule? If you create a when rule, it is reusable. Okay. So same piece of code, if I want to use in multiple activities or multiple data transforms, I can reuse the when rule. Instead of rewriting this logic again and again, I can reuse it. Right. So like this, I can pull my when rule and I can use it wherever I want rather than writing the logic again and again. And tomorrow, if I want to change the logic, I can just change it in the when rule rather than opening every single rule and updating the logic. Okay. So I'm going to teach you when rules first, and then we will write down a when rule and we will plug in it in activity and we will see. Okay. So under decision category, you will find when rules. I'm yet to teach you decision rules. Under decision category, you will find when rules. Okay. So I'm going to name a rule called as is from account bank account. So whatever is the from account I'm getting in the request, is it a bank account? I'm checking. Okay. So this is how a when rule looks. Okay. And we always write the logic in the advanced tab. We don't write in the conditions tab. We always write it in the advanced tab. How do you write down your logic? Just like how you wrote in the when condition in your activity, or like how you wrote in the section visibility. How did you write down the conditions? If account number not equal to null, transaction ID not equal to null, same way you are going to write here. Okay, same way you're going to write down your logic here. So if from account name is equals to, okay, I'm checking, is it a bank account? How many types of bank accounts I have? I have four: holdover, loss, merchant, and suspense. So if I'm checking it is a bank account, I have to check, is the account name holdover exactly the same spelling, please, and case sensitivity. Or you can use a function equals ignore case, you can use if you want to ignore the case sensitivity. Okay, sorry. From account name is equals to suspense is equals to loss merchant. Okay. If my bank from account name is any of these four, then I say it is a bank account. Otherwise, I say it's a customer account. So here I'm going to write A, B, C, D. Now, if any one of them is true, it is a bank account, right? And remember, when rule always gives you only true or false, either true or false. Okay. If any one of them is true, it is true. Yes, it is a bank account, right? So it is any one, A or B or C or D. So whatever account I got in the request from the other party, is it a bank account or not? I am checking. Okay, is from account name holdover or suspense or loss or merchant, then yes, it is a bank account. If none of them are true, then it is a customer account, it is not a bank account. Okay, and here also you can use your function library, guys. You know the function library, right? So you can use your function library. You can use string comparison also here. See, first string equals second string. So instead of me writing like this, I can even write, oh, I'm not comparing, right? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, like this we can compare. You can even write like this. Okay. You can use string comparison also, or you will have a lot of functions here. You can check. String equals. You can say first string equals second string. You can even try this one. Okay. All are one and the same. Okay. Or you can even go for your expression evaluates to true. Go here. Okay. You can take any of your string functions. Compare strings you can use. Okay. So you can try whatever is feasible for you. But this is the easiest way to do, right? Equals to. Why should I try all that? So I directly wrote equals to. Okay. But however, you can try any of the functions that are available. So this is a when rule. Here you can write down your when logic. You can give ors and ends here. And the best part with the rule is you can use it wherever I want. So I can use it on a cell visibility condition. I can use it on a layout visibility condition. I can use it in an activity. I can use it in the data transform. So wherever I want to, I can use this. I can use it in a flow using a decision shape. Okay, so in the flows using decision shapes, we can call the when rules. So wherever you want, you call your when rule. Just showing you, okay. When I teach you decision rules, we will work on it. Just showing you that, oh, you have a decision shape here. Please go on mute, guys, if you're not speaking. Here, you can say fork. This is also a very important interview question. What is fork in a flow? On the decision shape, if you select fork, it means I want to call a when rule. When you call when rules, we keep the shape property as fork. So you can say when and you can call your when rule like this. Okay? Or you can open your section. You can open the cell properties. On visibility, you can give your when rules. On layout visibility, you can give when rules. Wherever you want, you can give the when rules. Okay. So now I created a when rule to check whether the from account is a bank account. Now I want to create another when rule to check, is to account also bank account? So save as, okay. Is to account a bank account? I want to check. Is to account a bank account? Create. Instead of from account name, I will say to account name.
Nikhila, should the holdover and suspense be in single quotes because it's a text?
As there are no spaces in between, not required. If you have spaces, it is mandatory. Otherwise, it's fine. Okay. So I'm just going to give like this. So is to account a bank account? I'm checking here. Okay. Check in the code.
Um,
Hey, when you're doing services, please check in the code because service means testing from another system, right? If you don't check in the code, they can't access it. If somebody has a question, please go ahead.
Nikhila, you have done save as from is from account, right?
Right? Because the just the
So
property is different, rest all are same.
yeah, but in real time scenario or in real time project, can we do that? Because we will be taking the base rule version of this two account, right? There are two different when conditions here.
The
Can we
name
do
is
that?
also different, right? The name is also different. The rule names are different. So yes, this is from account. This is to account.
That's right. But what I'm asking is the like if you save it as uh, rules at version might also be like, I mean, it will get just updated, right? For the same base version.
Of course, these two are two different rules, right? So why can't I keep two different rules in the same version? As a
Okay,
part of hosting the service, I'm creating two different rules. All the service related rules I'm going to create in this version. This version is created for my story. So all services
okay,
related will be, and they are two different rules completely. They are not same.
okay. Got it.
Okay. Now I'm going to create a when rule to identify whether it is a customer account. Okay. So again, one second. Let me just. Okay. I just want to be in sync with this. So if there's any different, again, I have to capture the screenshots. So I have taken only for the bank account. I have taken. If it is not a bank account, I'm going to the customer account thing. Okay. So no specific when rules are required to check it is a bank account, because if it is not a bank account, then the other option would be only customer account. So only two when rules are created. Now close the when rules. Okay. Come back to the activity. I will collapse everything. Come back to the activity. So I'm going to call my when rule here is from bank account. Okay, if this is a bank account, what am I supposed to do? I have to hit that banking account table, get the bank balance, so that in the later steps, I will do addition and subtraction on the bank balance. So is it from bank account? If yes, continue. If false, jump to later step called as from uh yeah from customer account. Okay, let's keep it like this for some time. Okay, I'm just checking, is it from bank account or not? If yes, it is from a bank account, I'll continue. If false, I'll jump to a later step. Submit. If it is a bank account, what am I supposed to do? I have to hit that banking table and get the bank balance. So obj open the banking table that I created today, data dash internal bank accounts. Okay, I'm supposed to acquire the lock and release the lock when I do commit. Why am I acquiring lock here? Because in the later steps, I have plans to update the bank balance in this table. I may increase the bank balance, I may decrease the bank balance depending upon the logic. So I have plans to do some updates on this table. So I'm acquiring a lock. If I don't acquire the lock, another person may try to update the table at the same time and I will lose the data. So I am acquiring a lock. When I am trying to update the table, nobody else can update this particular record of data. Okay. Now, obj open works always with the primary key only, right? So open the class and see what is the primary key here. Account type is the primary key. Okay, fine. So I should give only account type here. Oh, hold on. Look at this. Work class properties are coming. Please be careful. Don't give just because you found it, don't give. Work class properties are coming. The reason is I did not give the step page. So it is taking work class, current class. So I'm going to give my step page called as, let me see whatever is here, the same thing I will give. Okay, from bank account. Okay, so from bank account is the step page. From bank account. Now, is it enough to do like this? No, you have to declare it in pages and classes. Now, bank account always belongs to that bank table, internal banks table. Save. Oh, I forgot to give the keys. Okay. Account type is equals to the account type that I got in the service request, right? This is an activity which is going to be called from your service. So where is my service rule? This is my service rule. And the service request, okay, they are going to send me the account type, okay, from account name. They will send me from account name. I'm dealing with from account only right here. It's from account I'm dealing with. So in the service request, they will send me from account name and number. Okay. So where will this from account name lie on the clipboard? On my service page, it will be present. Whatever request and response you get, it will be on my service page, right? No longer PY work pages. So whatever I got, it will be present on my service page. This is case sensitive. So please make sure you give the right spelling and also declare it in pages and classes. Now, which class? Go and check which class is this. Work class. Okay. Now, work class. Save your changes. Okay. Now, what is it saying? Step label you did not define. Okay. So, with this label, there is no step. So, it is throwing an error. So, let me just add a step with that label and save your changes. Now, what error you are getting? Look at this. Rule obj when means my when rule, okay, is from bank account. Okay, it is not present, it seems. Those they are telling that I'm not able to find your when rule. Did we save the when rule? Yes, we saved it, right? So where is my when rule? We saved it, right? It is there. Then why is it telling this when rule is not present? Didn't I take it from the down arrow? I took it from the down arrow only. Anybody, any idea why is it is telling my when rule is not present? Look at the error carefully.
Class.
You gave step page
Exactly.
right, Nikhila.
Class is not
Exactly.
correct.
Exactly. I both the answers are perfectly correct. I gave a step page, right? What is the step page class? Internal bank accounts. What is it telling here? In internal bank accounts class, this when rule is not present. Is it right? Yes. My when rule is present in work class. It's not present in internal bank accounts class. So try to understand from the error. It is telling that in the internal bank accounts class, your when rule is not present. Exactly right. Okay, that's because it's in a different class, and that is because you gave a step page, the context changed. Now, without, if I don't give step page, when rule issue will not come. See, when rule issue is not coming because if I don't give step page, it is taking the current class, which is your work class. Okay, so it is working. Just a second, guys. Yeah, sorry for the interruption, guys. So now if you see here, it is taking the when rule from the work dash claims class. Whereas when I give the step page, it's not my service page, sorry. The step page is from bank account, right? When you give the step page, it says, no, your when rule is not found in the internal bank accounts class. Say that important your step page is. Your step page decides the context of the entire step. So whatever rules you are calling here should belong to this particular class only. So they are telling that no, your when rule is not present in this class. Now, should I rewrite the when rule in the data class? No, not required. Okay, not required. There is a way to call the when rules which are there in a different class. How to do that? You see an expression builder here? Open that. Now, this is also an interview question, guys. How can I call a when rule which is present in a different class? The answer is there is a function called as call when. Call when. What are the parameters? Public API tools, ignore it. String block name means when rule name and your step page name. So what I'm going to do is call when my when rule name followed by that step page should be of my class, my work class. So I have a page called as my service page, right? Which belongs to my work class. So I can use that. That's it. Submit, save.
Nicola tools is missing.
Tools is missing. That's what I was thinking. This third parameter, right? They are not giving that word tools here. Let me check the syntax once. Should I write directly tools? Yeah, just directly tools. In lowercase letters. See, ideally, when you call the function, they have to populate that word tools. I'm not supposed to write it. Okay. Tools. And do I need to give this in quotes? I think the rule should be in quotes. Yeah, the rule name should be in double quotes. Okay. So just give it in double quotes. And this function is very important, guys, because you will end up in a scenarios like this where you may need to call the vendor from a different class. Okay. Now, why did I give my service page when I'm calling the vendor? Answer is simple. Service request and response is lying on my service page. My when rule is looking for a value from account name. From account name will be present on my service page only, right? And my service page, I will have the request. In request, in the request, there is a property called as from account name. So of course, I have to check on my service page only. My service page will contain from account name, and I'm checking whether the values holdover, suspense, loss, or merchant. So that is the reason I give my service page here. So call your when rule and make sure you give tools and then your rule name in double quotes followed by the page name. This is case sensitive. So when you're writing this, please be careful. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to debug this activity, guys. We are going to write good number of steps. So if you write any case sensitivity issues, we will not be able to debug. Copy paste every single rule name. Okay, submit, save. So this step is to identify whether this is a bank account. And if this is a bank account, I'm just opening it and I'm getting all the data. Okay. Now I'm going to write another step to identify whether this is a customer account. Okay. So before I write another step, what I want to do is, okay, if this is a bank account, I want to set a parameter so that I can use it later like a flag variable. So every time I want to know whether it is a bank account or not, why should I call this when rule n number of times? Instead, why don't you set a flag? Okay, so I'm going to create a parameter to simplify the process. Instead of calling this when rule 100 times, I will just set a parameter. Now I have called it once, right? I know it's a bank account. So just set a parameter. Yes, this is a bank account. And based on that, write down the entire logic rather than calling this n number of times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a parameter. Param dot is bank account. And I will say it is true. Now, is it required to declare this parameter in parameters tab? Not really. Okay. So only when you are sending and receiving parameters, you need to declare the parameter in parameters tab. Okay. If you're just using a parameter for your processing within the activity, not mandatory to declare it in parameters tab. Okay. Not required. Even if you don't declare, it is going to work. Okay, not mandatory. But if you're sending and receiving parameters from activity, from activity to report definition, from activity to a data transform, if you're sending and receiving, then for sure you have to declare it in the parameters tab. But within the activity you're using, oh no, not required. That's okay. Okay, that's perfectly okay to use like this. No need to declare it. Okay, I'm done. Now, after step 2, I'm going to step 3, and in the step 3, I'm going to write down a logic to check whether it is a customer account. So no need to write any when condition. Why? Because I said if this is true, continue. If this is false, you go to customer account, right? If this is false, you go to customer account. So no need to write any when condition. However, just think how the way activity works. You saw the happy scenario, right? If account number is bank account, you go here, you get the details, you go here, you set the flag variable. After this, you are coming here, okay, and write down obj open here, obj open, and this is for customer account, right? So from cust account, pages and classes, customers belong to a different class. There's a table called as customer data. Expand it, customer data class. What is the primary key in this? Remember, obj open is very important from interview point of view. They will ask you what is the parameter of obj open. We have to pass the primary key. And where are the keys defined? In the class, you will find the keys. Account number is the key. So only account number I can give here, nothing else I can give here. Account number, and I should give the value. Now, account number I will get in the service request, right? So there is a property called as from account number on my service page. So here it will be my service page dot from account number. I have to lock it because I have plans to update the data in the customer account table as well. Okay, so I have to lock it. Save your changes. Now look at the flow the data is going. I will check is it a bank account. Let's say it is a bank account. What will I do? I will get the bank balance of that particular bank account. Then I will set a flag variable. Yes, this is a bank account. If it is a bank account, why are you again going to customer account? You got to know this is a bank account, right? So why are you going to step 3? You should not go to step 3 because you figured out that from account is already a bank account. So there is no point in going to step 3. Okay, if it is a bank account, right? So after step 2, I'm going to write down some logic saying that after step 2, because I came to step 2 because it is a bank account. Okay, if true, jump to latest step called as, okay, to bank account. If false, continue. Okay, so I need a step called as to bank account here. Any questions so far? Have a look at it and let me know if you have any questions. Let me see whether all screenshots are captured or not. So yes, when rule screenshots are there, from customer account is there. Yes. Okay, parameter setting. Okay.
Nikhila, we are using param dot from bank account. We are making as true, right? So in the
Yes.
third step, we can make it as param dot bank account from bank account is true. Then we can skip
See,
the obj open in the customer.
either you do it in a step 2 transition or you do it in the step 3 precondition. But just think of this, just in case, tomorrow, okay, if you are adding any more steps in between, okay, which are related to customer account and you don't want to evaluate them, then this will be helpful, right? After step 2, I'm not going to step 3. Okay, or let's say for example you introduce some steps in between which are related to bank account, then this precondition will be helpful. So based on your requirement, you choose whether you want to keep a precondition here or step 2 transition. So it depends on your requirement. How do you want to design? See, activity, every developer can design in their own style. Okay, maybe I write this in 20 steps and you will write this only 5 steps. So it depends. The whatever way you can configure, you can configure. Okay, my reason I have kept it here is because this is the end of bank account. So I want to keep it here. Why should I go to step 3 and check? Because I think this is ending here. So it's my style of coding. Okay, you can code as you wish. Either of the ways you can do. Activity is quite flexible. Okay, every developer can write in their own choice. Now, from bank account is completed and from customer account means this is the end of actually. If I remove it and I'll just add it here. Okay, okay. This is actually, I'm just writing a comment, guys. I'm leaving the step empty and I'm putting a comment. The comment is end of from accounts. So from account logic, this it will end here. Okay, this is the end of all from accounts. Now from here, I'm going to start my two accounts logic. Start two accounts. I'll write in caps. Starting off two accounts logic. Just for easy understanding, when there are too much lengthy activities, it's better to write comments so that people will understand. Okay, if I myself come after 5 years and I look at this activity, it will be difficult for me to understand. So if you write a one liner comment like this, it becomes easy for me to understand. Even here, open bank account info, set param as from bank account. This is the best practice. If you get an opportunity to work in good projects, you will see every line we will write a description. Here, check if it is customer account and fetch info like this. This is much easier to learn and identify, right, what is happening in the step rather than opening every single step and understanding. So like this, you will find people writing comments if you get a chance to work in a good project. Okay, now coming down to account logic, I'm going to write here again the same way. I have to trigger the when rule to check whether this is a bank account or not. So when rule is to bank account. Submit and the same obj open. Obj open works only with the primary keys of the class. HDFC. For bank, we have internal bank accounts. Lock, release on commit because I have plans to update the data. If no plans to update the data, just fetching the data, please don't use locks and release committed. Okay. If you're only updating the data, do this. Account number. Oh, hold on. See this? Okay. It's coming from work class. No, no, no. I want data class. So, to bank account is my page name. So, I'm going to declare it here. And this is of bank accounts, right? Come here and scroll down and now take your property. Perfect. Account type. Okay. Account type comes from the my service page, right? Something which is sent by the downstream system. My service page dot to account type. This is two accounts, not from accounts. To account name. Save your changes. Same old error. Cannot find the vendor in data class because your vendor is in work class. So same old syntax. Use call when function. Okay? Use call when and do your changes. Expression builder. Use call when. Okay? Write down your vendor name like this. If you don't copy paste and if you type mistakes, guys, it will be very difficult for me to debug because my service page is important, your vendor names are important. There are many areas, it may end up with mistakes. So please make sure you copy paste it properly. Okay. Tools, my vendor in double quotes and my service page. Submit. If true, continue. If false, jump to latest step, and that latest step is to customer account. So I'm going to add a new step here. It says to customer account and save your changes. So first 4 steps are for from accounts. Now fifth step I have written to fetch the data for to account. That is bank account. If it is a bank account, get me the bank balance. Now if it is a bank account, let me also set a parameter so that it becomes easy for me to evaluate in the later steps rather than using the when rule again and again. So I will use a parameter here, properties set. No need to declare the parameters if you're using it in the internal processing. So I would like to call it as param dot to bank account is equals to true. Hold on. Okay. I will rather declare the parameter, guys. Why? Because down the line when I'm using it, okay, I have to copy paste it multiple times. If I write different spelling, I will not get the parameter correctly. So in order to avoid that mistake, better declare it so that when you do the down arrow, you will get it. Okay. I'm worried that you will even make a mistake in the parameter spelling names and I have to spend a lot of time in debugging. So I better declare it so that when you do a down arrow, you will get them and you will not make any mistakes. See, if you do a down arrow, you will get it like this. So chances of you making mistake will be less. So better declare it, but it is not mandatory as I mentioned earlier. I made it true. Now, if to bank account is true, okay, you no need to go to customer account, right? So to account is bank account, then why going to customer account? So write down a jump condition here. Always. Okay? Always jump to, I will say calculation, the actual calculation, subtractions and additions. Okay. So jump to calculation. Jump to calculation. Okay. CLC. At the bottom somewhere I'll add a step called as CLC. The actual calculations will start. Additions and subtractions. Okay. Now what if it is not a bank account? To account is not a bank account. To is a customer account. If to is a customer account, again the same thing. Open the customer account. Okay. Here I will give a page called as to customer account. Okay. Expand. Declare your page in pages and classes. Come down. Class name. I have plans to update the data. That is the reason I'm taking lock. Otherwise, it's not required to take a lock. Make sure you're taking from the correct class. Account number. Account number I will get in the request. So it will be present on my service page dot account number. Save your changes. Okay. Now, if it is to customer account, you need to set a parameter, right? It is a customer account. So you can set a parameter or you can ignore it. Okay, let's set the parameters for these also. So it will be easy for us to evaluate. Let's set parameters for these as well. Now here, I will set a parameter for this also. Is it a customer account or not? Property set. Param is the keyword when you refer parameters. Param dot to customer account. This is from customer account, right? From customer account, and we are setting it to true. Please declare your parameters so that you will not make any spelling mistakes in the later code. Better I will create another parameter also to customer account. Okay. Now go ahead in the code. Okay. I'm just writing the description as well because it's a lengthy activity. It becomes easy for you people to understand when you revise it. So properties set, setting a parameter here as well. See, those who don't attend live and rely on the recordings, this activity will be like Greek and Latin. Okay. So I have to set the parameter, right? Param dot to customer account. I wrote TP. Oh, let me rename it. It's going to be 2. Okay. It is to customer account. Okay. And I'm giving the value as true. Save. Write down here also set param to bank account. Here set param to customer account. Open customer account table. So like this, write down your comments. Any questions so far, guys? Whatever steps you have written till now is just only to identify whether the from and to accounts are bank accounts or customer accounts and get their bank balances. That's it you have written. Any questions so far? Okay, if no questions, now the actual calculation starts. Okay, I just want to see whether the same label CLC have used or not. Okay, if not, I have to rename it so that I'll have the same screenshots. Let me cross check once. Where is that? Where is the label? I didn't use any label. Okay, we are directly moving to it. Fine. Anyways, that's okay. I have used the label CALC. Now let's see how it is moving in this case. Okay, if it is a to account, I'm going and opening it. I'm setting a variable. After setting it, where am I jumping? I'm jumping to calculation. Okay, fine. Okay. Whereas if it is not a bank account, I will go here. Okay. I will open the customer table. I'm setting the parameter. Perfect. Okay. Now calculation starts. Okay. So what are we doing to do in this calculation? We have to identify is the from account bank account. If the from account is a bank account, deduct the money from bank account. If the from account is a customer account, deduct the money from customer account. Okay, first deductions, then additions. Fund transfer, right? You have to deduct at one place and add on the other place. So first I'm going to deal with deductions. Okay, so first deductions and then we will go with the other one. So first deductions. So first I'm going to check a condition here. Is it from bank account or not? So for checking the condition, I will use the when rule instead of using that call when, giving tools, giving my rule name, giving my step page. I will use the parameter. That is much easy for me. When param dot, this is coming. No, my parameter is not coming. One second. I will copy paste it. I don't want to make any mistakes. Is bank account. Why did I say is bank account? It should be like from bank account. Oh no, it's not is bank account. It is from bank account. From bank account, right? Oh, now come down. Okay. Here, is it a bank account? Is from a bank account? If true, continue once. If false, skip step. Okay, I'm skipping the step. Now, what will I do if it is a from bank account? Deduct from bank account. Property set. Okay. Dot. Oh, hold on. From bank account information is present on from bank account page, right? Current bank accounts bank balance means the bank balance of suspense, ledger, merchant, loss. Those accounts bank balance is present on a page called as from bank account. So on from bank account page, I'll do one thing, First of all, I will show you so far completed logic. Okay. Then I will tell you what are the next steps. Okay. First, let me show you the so far completed logic. Now, how can I test this? You're not calling it from any of the flows or case type rule or a button in the section and all, right? So the only way to test this is run your service rule. Okay. Now, where will I find my service rule? Refresh, expand. Where is your service rule? You see integration mapping, which contains parts and stream rules. You see integration connector. No, but where is your service rule? It is present under integration services, right? Your service rule comes under integration services. That category itself is not visible. The reason is service rules are not connected to any classes. They don't have a class. Okay. So you have to go to Records Explorer, Integration Services, Service Soap. They don't have a class. So please don't check for a service under your class. Look at this. They don't have a class. They are only present inside a package, no class. Okay. Open the service. Your activity is here. Okay. Run your service. The only way to test your activity is by running the service. Run your service. When you run the service, you will get two radio buttons here. Select the second one. I want to pass the service XML to test my changes. See, this is called as XML. This is also called as SOAP envelope. Okay, envelope. SOAP envelope is nothing but the XML. This all contains, your SOAP versions, your XML details and all that. From here, the actual, from SOAP body, your actual input will start. Okay. Process data is a tag. Data request means this is request related XML. Inside that you have to pass from account number, from account name, okay, transaction ID, customer account name, customer account, a lot of things you have to pass like this. Okay. Now where is all this coming from? It is all coming from the request rule. Account number, money mode, transaction ID, all this, whatever you have given here is coming. Okay. Now looks like, we made a mistake. By mistake, we selected money movement transaction ID. This is response, guys. Why is it in the request? Account number, transaction amount is the request. In response, we will give transaction ID. By mistake, looks like I have enabled the checkbox. Okay, let me delete it. So just do a checkout. Go here and say delete. Okay. Now there is a very important interview question on this. After hosting a service, after few months or after few years, if I want to add more inputs, or if I want to delete some of the inputs, or more inputs in the response, or delete some inputs in the response, how do you do it? Answer is simple. Open your parts XML or a stream XML. If you want to add more, keep your pointer here, add element. Now what is your XML tag name? Okay, you can see here, you will see the XML tag names here. Okay, whatever is your XML tag name, you have to give here. Let's say it is called as, test data. Okay, this is my XML tag name. Now inside the tag you'll have some value, right? In which property you want to store that value on clipboard? Give some property here like this. That's it. So this is very important interview question, because some people think again I have to run the service wizard, again I have to do the whole thing. Not necessary, guys. Why should you run the wizard again? Not necessary. Okay, just update your parts rules and stream rules with the new inputs and outputs. Enough. Okay. Now, if you double click and see, everything is like that. This is the XML name. This is the property. Okay. And sometimes you will have an option here called as optional. What do you mean by optional? Generally, okay, Pega expects you to send a value for each of these. If you leave anything empty, they may throw you a validation error because they think that everything is mandatory here. So if you think, no, 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 this field is optional, I'm okay, even if they send me a null value for this, then you have to enable this optional. Okay. What if I'm sending any page lists and page groups? Then you have to select repeating. Okay. Can this be a null value? Then in that case, send it is nullable. Okay. Just good to know, guys. Please remember these things. Now, I didn't save anything, right? Just want to make sure I didn't save anything. Save your changes. Check in. You're dealing with services, guys. Please check in all the code. Otherwise, they will not work when you test from a different user. Okay. So I checked in
Nicola,
all
can
the
you click
code.
on process data request once in the
Which one?
top one, top node?
This
Yeah,
is the parent XML tag.
only tag. Okay, okay, nothing is there at that. Hmm.
Not you see here, right? Inside body, you'll have the first. Oh, why did I? It looks like I changed it. Here, this one, process data request. It's just a tag to indicate it's a request XML. So
Oh,
just a
okay,
tag that is. Okay.
okay.
So this is just a tag, no properties here. Then later on, we will start giving the properties like this. Now, what is the difference between element and attribute? Just good to know. Okay, what is the difference between element and attribute? Element means, see, the tags will be like this. In between, you will give the value. Okay, here you will give the values like this. Attribute means like this. See, within the tag, envelope XML NS is equals to something. Within the tag means after, like this tag is there, right? Inside this, you can write height is equals to, okay, like this. Width is equals to. So within the tags, if you're sending something, that is element. Okay. Sorry, attribute. That is attribute. Otherwise, generally we deal with elements only. Now let me run the service again because I made some changes, right? So let me run the service again to get a new XML. Okay. Now money movement transaction ID is not there because that is a part of response. By mistake, I enabled the checkbox. Okay. Now this is the XML, guys. What is your from account and what is your to account? Please pass the details. From account, let's say I'm taking bank account and I will say the bank account name is loss. Okay. Bank accounts don't have any account numbers, so you can leave this empty. Okay. To account name is customer. Let's say it's a customer account. So I will write down here customer. And what is the to account number? I know one of my account numbers, it is 120. So I will write it down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Okay. How much amount you want to transfer? Let's say I want to transfer 800 rupees. This is how you send data in the XML. Hey, this is all my testing. Okay. When bank is creating the service, they will test, right? This is all my testing. Just for testing, I'm doing all this. Now I will turn on the tracer. Okay. Now, where is that? Click on execute. Okay. You can see no issues. It's all success, no issues. Okay. Fine. Anyways, I didn't get the response. Transaction ID is empty. Transaction status is empty. I didn't get the response. Of course, we didn't complete the coding, so we will not get the response. That is okay. Anyways, now come back here and see, oh my goodness, we have some errors. Okay. What is error? Why did it fail? Unable to open the instance. Okay. Internal bank accounts, account type, my service page. What did I write in the code? My service page, step 1. Let's see. Looks like I didn't write that properly. OPG open. Oh, I forgot to give the property name. See, that is the reason. It is from account name. Okay, name I have to pass here, right? I will get loss, suspense, Like that name I will get. So it is name. Sorry, I forgot to give that. Okay. Did I use the same mistake here also? I got another error here. What is that step? Step 9. Step 9 is for customer. What did I do here? Oh, okay, got it. See, look at this, guys. Your data is present on from account name, from account number, to account name, to account number. What did I give here? I just gave account number. No, 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 no. This is two, right? So to account number is the property. That is the mistake. Good that we tested it now itself. Now let me try again. Clear the tracer, run it, go back to the tracer. No errors so far. However, look at the way it is executing. Activity has started. They are checking the condition is from account number. Okay. My service page will have all your request and response. So in the request, you got 800 rupees to be deducted from loss to customer, and this is the customer account number. So like this, you will have all the data on my service page. Now, what are they doing? They opened the bank account. Okay. So after OBG open, I got in loss account this much balance I'm having. Okay. So from this balance, I have to deduct 800 rupees. Okay. Now after that, from step 2, they went to step 7. Okay. You can see we jumped from step 2 to step 7 because it is not a customer account, right? So we went to step 7. So in step 7, again, you're checking is it from customer or from bank? Okay. And it is false because it is not to bank, it is to customer. So here we went to customer, OBJ open. I got all the customer details. See, customer contact number, customer account number, customer bank balance, and all the details you will get like this. Okay. So I have bank balance of both customer and bank. And now I have to write down my code to deduct the money. That's it. To deduct the money, I have to write down the code. So what I'm going to do is come down, collapse all your steps, just write down the query to deduct the money. So property set because I want to deduct the money. Here, if you want, you can use data transform, guys. Okay. I will teach you using activity. You write it using a data transform. Okay. So this is a homework for you. Whatever steps I'm writing right now with the property set for money deduction, you do it using a data transform. And to call your data transform, just use method apply data transform. And that's it. Give your DT name here. Okay. If you're not able to achieve it, let me know. Now, property set is my method. Expand it. Okay. What is the condition here? Is from bank account means from bank account should I deduct the money? Okay. So bank account bank balance I need. Okay. So there is a page called as from bank account. On this page, you are maintaining the bank balance of from bank accounts, right? So from bank account dot bank balance is equals to I have to do subtraction, right? Okay, minus, okay, whatever amount I got on my service page. On my service page they will tell me how much amount I should deduct, right? On my service page they will tell me how much amount I should deduct. So that one I'm going to pass here. My service page dot transaction amount. Is that correct? Please make sure you're giving the correct variables. Yeah, transaction amount. Okay. Now I will write down this here. Okay. Minus. Any questions so far, guys? Deduct money from bank account. Okay. This step is just to deduct the money from bank account. If it is from bank account, what if it is from customer account you have to deduct? Like customer himself is a fraud. So if you have to deduct money from customer account, what will you do? Collapse, add a step. Okay. Is it from customer account? I have to check. So I have a parameter, right, to check if it is from customer account. Param dot, oh, these parameters are not coming in the when rules. Let me go and copy paste it from customer account. Okay. I don't want to make mistakes, so I'm just copy pasting it. Okay. Is it customer account? If true, continue. If false, don't execute this step. So skip step and say submit. Property set, expand. You can do this whole thing in one single data transform, guys. Okay. In one single data transform, you can write down all these when conditions. When, otherwise when, otherwise when, otherwise when, and you can do it. Okay. Try it and let me know. Property. What property? Customer data is present on which page? If it is from customer, you will have a page called as from customer account dot bank balance, right? And how much amount you want to deduct is on a page called as my service page dot transaction amount. So customer bank balance is equals to customer's bank balance minus transaction amount. So this is the logic to deduct the money from customer account. Anybody has any questions so far, please feel free to ask me. Why? Oh, look at this, guys. It is telling that I have used subtraction and it is not permitted on text and integer. So somewhere it is a text. Is my bank balance in customer is a text? Oh my goodness, let me check. Okay, I got it. I gave a wrong spelling. That is the problem. Okay, the bank balance I gave a wrong spelling. That's the problem. See, double A I have given. See, perfect. Okay. So in case if it is not wrong spelling, then it would have been like one of the properties, either bank balance or transaction amount is not an integer. If it is not an integer, how can we do additions and subtractions? So just make sure to delete the properties and recreate them of type integers. Any questions so far, guys? Anyone from the session? Okay, very good.
Based
So
on the
far,
when, sorry. So based
it's a
on the when,
parameter. Yes, based on
either
the when I'm checking whether I have to deduct from bank account or from customer account. So rise as of now I'm doing only deductions, not additions yet. Deducting from X account. So is that X a customer or a bank I'm identifying?
so either it will execute either 11 or 12 step, right? It won't do both
Exactly
of them.
right. No, no, not both, not both. Any one will be from, right?
And we need not put a jump condition because when condition has taken care of that problem.
Precondition is already there, right? So either you add a precondition here or you add a jump condition in the end. This is called as transition. This is called as precondition. So either you add here or here, it's fine enough.
Okay.
Now it is time to add the additions. Subtractions are done. It's time to add the money to the other party. So for adding, I have to look for two parameters. TO2, I'm not talking about TWO. TO2 parameters. Is to bank account or is to customer account, I have to check. So come down. Param is a keyword to access parameters. Is to bank account true? If it is true, continue. If it is false, please skip the step execution. I'm telling skip step, not skip fence. Okay, I don't want you people to add skip fence and get back to me saying that it is not working. Please use skip step, not skip fence. Property set, this is the time to add money, right? Add money to bank account. Add money to bank account. Now, hold on. The data is present on some page, right? If it is to bank account, right? Oh, there is no page here because we give two customer account. Okay. If it is to bank account, you will have data on a page called as to bank account dot bank balance. And on the right side, how much money you should add? It is present on my service page. So on my service page, they will tell me the transaction amount, that much money I have to add. So to bank account dot bank balance is equals to my service page dot transaction amount plus. It's not minus, it's plus. I'm transferring the funds to the other party, right? It's a plus. Similarly, next step, it's to customer account. Next step is to customer account. Oh, take your parameter, please. To customer account. Scroll down, expand, expand. Too many steps, right? Even it is not displaying properly. If true, continue once. If false, skip step, not skip once. Submit. And again, the same old property set. Okay. Then scroll down. It is again bank account related, right? Customer account, and it is a two. So add money to customer account. Okay. If you are transferring to customer, so on to customer account page, you will have his bank balance. Okay. On my service page, you will have how much amount you want to transfer them. So addition. What is the error? When rule not found. What did I write in the when? Oh, I didn't use the param keyword. Okay. Param dot. Any questions so far? It's just simple. I first opened all the bank accounts, then I'm doing additions and subtractions. These four steps, I want you to do it in a data transform using when, otherwise, when, otherwise, when, otherwise, when, and call it in the activity using apply data transform method. Try and let me know if it is not working. I'll help you. Okay, now done. All good. Shall we test your changes? Let's try. Clear the tracer, play the tracer. Same old data. Okay, from loss to account, I'm just transferring 800 rupees. Let me open the bank account and see what is the current balance. Then you can really see whether it is deducted or not. Data types, internal bank accounts. How much amount is there in loss? Let's see. Source. Oh, sorry, records, right? Loss. Okay. Now, how much amount is there in the customer account? 120. Where is the customer? 120, this guy. Okay, this is the bank balance. Let's see whether 800 gets deducted or not and gets added or not into the other account. Execute. No issues in the tracer. Looks like everything went well. Okay. Now pause the tracer. Let's go to the clipboard. Clipboard. Standard thread. Okay, you are executing it standalone, right? Standard thread. Oh no. Okay. I am transferring from bank account to customer account, right? So from bank account is the page. 800 is deducted. Do you see there's a difference in the bank balance? Actual one, deducted one, right? Now to customer account, I have transferred the money to customer account. Do you see 800 got added here? What is the actual customer account balance? This one. Now let's refresh the DB and see is it updated. Not updated. How about this one? Not updated. So the data came only till clipboard. It's not updated in the DB. What could be the reason? Anyone from the session? Why is it not
Nikhila, we
updated
did
in the
not use
data?
OBJ save and commit.
OPG safe.
Exactly. Perfect. Right? Exactly right. Where did you do OBJ save? You just deducted everything on the clipboard pages. Did you write any method to save it back to DB? No. You just only did everything on the clipboard. So the data will be gone if you close the work object. Did you update it in the DB? No. So if you do these kind of mistakes, it will be a great loss to the bank. Why? Think of a real time scenario. You deducted the money from the bank, you added to the customer account, but you did not update it in the DB. So it will display a fake bank account balance, right? So this will raise a huge issue because multiple users will face this and it may be a job threat as well. These kind of mistakes, they may even fire you from the company because it is a huge loss to the bank, right? You're deducting money from the bank, you're adding it to the customer, but you're not displaying it in the bank balance statement. The money is gone, but it's just not displaying. So please make sure be very careful when you're dealing with these kind of things. Now make sure you add a OBJ save. How many OBJ saves? 4 OBJ saves, right? How does OBJ save work? It works based on the step page. So whatever step page you give, that particular page data will be saved to DB. OBJ save. Again OBJ save for bank and customer. This is to bank and customer. Just OBJ save is enough? No, you have to give right now, right? If you do not give right now, the changes will be in deferred save, means they will be in the queue, but they will not be committed. So you have to give right now. Now, hold on. First of all, before OBJ save, again I want to check my parameter. Why should I check? See, if it is from bank account to customer account, why do you need these two OBJ saves? Not necessary, right? These two pages will not even exist on the clipboard, right? So if you see, go to your clipboard and see, do you have two bank account page? No. Why? Because you're not sending money to bank account, so that page will not be there. Do you have from customer account page? Only from bank account is there. Why? You're not extracting from customer account. So when the page itself is not there, why are you trying to do OBJ save on that? This is a coding mistake. So that is the reason. Please add your when condition here also. Here also I have to check the parameters. Again, please be careful which parameter you're giving at which place. In from bank account, don't give two bank account parameter. If you make those kind of mistakes, we have to break the heads to debug all this. So please be careful. From bank account, from bank account. Okay. If it is true, continue once. If it is false, please kindly skip the step. Don't execute it. Again, for what is the second one? From customer account. Take the parameter. Otherwise, if the page itself is not there, what will you do with OBJ save? If true, continue once. If false, skip step. We are almost done, guys. I know we are running short of time. We are almost done. Okay. Then two bank account. I'm in two bank account. Okay. Continue once. If false, skip step. Fourth one, finally, customer. Okay. Two customer account. And here comes the last. So Okay. Now, did I give right nows? I didn't give right nows. Why? There is a reason. I don't want to use right nows. I want to use commit. There is a method called as commit. Now, this is again a very good interview question. What is the difference between commit and right now? Right now means that particular step page data will be saved to DB permanently. Commit means whatever OBJ saves are there, all those step pages data will be committed to DB permanently. So instead of giving right now 4 times, I give one commit. The reason is, let's say this OBJ save went well. Okay, I was able to deduct the money from the bank. I was not able to add it to the customer because the customer account is closed. Okay, or because the customer account is suspended. Now, if I commit this one and if I can't commit that one, it's an issue, right? Money is deducted from the bank. Money was not added to the customer account. How can you commit your changes? That's not right. So there is a dependency. If any one of the OBJ saves fail, other OBJ saves should not happen. So what I'm doing is I'm doing commit. When you say commit, if any one of the OBJ saves fail, it will not commit your changes. Only if all four go well, it will commit. If any one of them fails, it will not commit. Okay, so that is the reason instead of giving right now, I'm giving commit. Because if one OBJ save is successful and other one is a failure, that's wrong. Money should be deducted and added to the other account. Both should happen. If both are not happening, please roll back. So that is the reason I give commit. So if any one of them doesn't go well, it will roll back. Okay. So that is the difference between right now and commit. Right now means only that particular step page will be saved. Commit means all the OBJ step pages will be committed to DB. Now test your changes and see whether the data is moving or not in the database, not just in the step page. In the DB, is it moving or not? Let's see. Execute. OBJ saves. One OBJ save is true, two OBJ saves are false, and this OBJ save is true, which means it committed to DB. Let's check in the DB once. Refresh. Yes, 800 deducted. And yes, 800 added. Okay. Now, one last step we are going to do, that is, hey, in the response, where is the transaction ID and transaction status? Good, everything is working, but how do you update the customer? You have to give him the transaction ID and transaction status, right? Just complete that and we are done for the day. Okay, I will not take much of your time. So just one last step. Okay, if everything went well, okay, if this step status is good, how do I know everything went well or not? If commit went well, then everything went well. So there is a Pega's OOTB Enroll. Step status good or step status fail. Okay, you can use anything. If all went well, continue. If false, jump to latest step, ERR. Submit. I'm going to add a new step called as ERR. If any error, I'll come here. If all went well, what will you do? Generate transaction ID and send transaction status. It's response, right? Transaction ID and transaction status is response. Response should lie on my service page. So I have to send transaction ID. Oh, it's not just transaction, it is money move transaction ID. What is that I'm getting here? Hold on, is it not just? Oh, this is wrong. It should be money move transaction ID. We have to change it in the SOAP rule. Okay, after coding, I will change it. It should be money move transaction ID. It's not just transaction ID. A service transaction ID, it is right to indicate that the service went well. Hmm. Okay. Now, how do you generate transaction ID? It depends, guys. Okay. In some projects in the database, they will maintain a number. They will use a sequence rules to generate the next sequence number. Okay. So in Pega, you have a function called as generate ID, which will generate a sequential number. You can use that. Even for generating your work object IDs, they will use the same function, generate ID. Okay. Just you have to pass a prefix. So I will give my prefix as MMT, money movement transaction ID, or TXN ID. Money movement transaction ID is my prefix. Test and see. We'll give like this. Okay. So generate ID is a function I'm using here. And you also want to send the status, right? Transaction status. So let's say transaction successful. Double quotes, please. That's it. This is all when your commit is successful, right? If your commit is not successful, you said jump to error. Now, what do you do in error? Just send error message back to them. Property set. You want to send something to them, right? The other party you want to send. Whatever you want to send and receive from the other party, it's always on my service page. Okay. We need a property for this, guys. We need a property called a service error or something. Okay, let's create a property quickly like this. Service error. I'm just creating a property quickly like this. Okay. And I will say transaction failed. Okay. Now, first of all, in the service rule, what is there in the response? See, transaction ID and transaction status is there. No, 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 I don't want transaction ID. I want something called as money move TXN ID. Okay. And the property is also money move transaction ID. Okay. Not normal transaction ID. And if there is any error, okay, if there is any error, I'm going to send another property called as error. That is also string, or not this string. Instead of enabling the checkbox, I went in the normal way, right? So that is the reason no parts rules are generated. But if you look into the screenshots, I have enabled the checkbox. So try whatever way you feel comfortable, you can try. So this is errors. Okay, service error, same description. Where do you want to keep? On the clipboard, I want to keep. And the property is service error. Okay, in service error property, whatever value is there, you will keep it in this tag and you will send it to the other party. Okay, so I updated the response. Check in. Okay, done. Now test your service, please. Hold on. Before you test your service, there is something else still missing in your code. If everything went well and you're sending the money movement transaction ID and transaction status, you should exit the activity, right? Why are you going to error step again? After 20, where is exit activity? If everything went well, you have to come out of the activity. Why are you going to error step again? So always exit activity. There's no point in going to error step. Okay, you should be very careful. Only with experience you will get to know all these things. As you keep on making mistakes, you will get to know, okay, this one I'm missing. uh, Let me rerun the service again because I updated the response, right? So let me rerun the service. Take XML. This time from account I will give suspense. Okay, to account I will give 91. Do I have an account as 91? Yes, I have. Okay, so I'm giving this and I have the tracer handy. Look at this. You got the response, money movement transaction ID you got, and you got the transaction is successful. Do you see the same thing here? And this is called a SOAP envelope. Okay, we call this a SOAP envelope. Okay. Any questions so far, guys? Now, what if there is any error? It will fail and you will get an error. So, in order to get an error, what you can do is better pass some, error values in the tracer, like invalid account numbers you can pass. It will error out and you will get an error. Okay. Clear the tracers. Execute. Why is my. So, you can see, oh, why is this coming still as successful? So, we didn't write the logic properly. I gave invalid account number only, right? 12345. Do I have a customer account with this info? Oh, looks like unfortunately I have some customer data with this info as well. Yeah, it's working, that's why. Let me give any other invalid account number. I'll give all zeros. What is this? So there is no customer data. When there is no customer data, why is it? See, there's a failure here. For all zeros, there is no data, right? Then why are you still, sending me that transaction is successful and money movement transaction ID? So this is a coding error. Now, what is the coding error here? In your activity, okay, if any of these obj opens fail, means you did not get data when you did obj open. There is no bank account with that name or number. Then you should not go to property set and you should go to ERR step. So every single step of obj open, please write down a condition like this. If step status fails or on exception, go to ERR. If false, continue once. Okay, if that is false, continue. If fails, go to ERR. Same for every single obj open, which means if that bank account is not valid, okay, step status fail or on exception, jump to later step, ERR. All obj opens, the same thing.
Nikhila, to be on a safer side, should we put that on property set? I don't know if property set would
No, no,
fail.
open. See, the DB itself failed, right? When you're trying to query from the DB, there is no account with that number. So there
No,
itself
not
it has to fail.
if obj open is success, but is there a probability that property set would fail?
No, the chances are very less, right? Just you're doing a fund transfer there. So at least in this scenario, the probability is less.
But in real time, generally, do you put this error condition on all the steps, or how does it?
No, wherever you think there is a chance of getting an error, you keep it. Why do you keep it on every single step? No, 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 no. See, if property set fails, obj save will anyways fail. So you just think of, in what all scenarios it will fail and write down. This is all exception handling. So if somebody asks you, how do you do exception handling? We use methods called as step status fail and step status good, and we jump here and there. That's how we do exception handling. Okay. Remember this. This is also an interview question. How do you do exception handling? We use Pega's OOTB when rule step status fail, step status good, and we drop the errors. Now also, how come? Now also there is no. Oh, what did I do? Looks it's successful.
Did we save the code?
Save the changes. Let me.
This let me pull the service rule again. Yeah, I saved the changes, but I have to just. I wrote something rubbish here. Here and here I'm just writing something nonsense. Is my tracer up and running? Let me clear it. So it shows, you can see transaction failed. Okay, you can see error, transaction failed. Okay, so now your code is working as expected. When step 3 failed, we directly jump to step 21. If any one of the accounts is wrong, there's no point in executing the rest of the code, right? You just went to step 21 and you're setting the error. So this is how you will let the other party know that the transaction is not successful. Any queries so far, guys? You only completed service SOAP, okay? You did not complete consumption. It's only hosting which is completed. Any queries so far? Okay. I request you to go to the recording and practice it rather than relying on the recordings, because you saw, right, a lot of preconditions, post conditions, functions we have used. So even if I capture the recording, it will be like little difficult for you to practice. So I will give you the screenshots. However, please use the recording for this to practice than using the screenshots. Okay, so that you will understand why did we add this condition here. Okay, guys, I took a lot of time today. See you again tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining.
Nikhila,
Any
hello.
screenshots, Haripriya? Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Haripriya, we are already late today, so let's connect tomorrow, Haripriya. I was asking in the beginning of the session if anyone needs a screenshot. Were you not
Actually,
present?
at that time, I came at that time only, and my server is not up,
Okay.
so that I
Okay.
haven't.
Okay, no problem. So any screenshots, please connect a little early tomorrow. We'll do it, guys.
Okay, Nikhila. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much. Bye bye.